Hey guys, Michael here from Pre-Approve Me, and today we're going to talk about setting the permissions for your customers on whether or not they can issue pre-approval or pre-qualification letters. And there's a bit of intricacy and nuance to whether or not your clients have access to those features. The first thing that has to happen is you need to double check that you've got what's called a loan officer approved scenario. So I'm inside of a loan here, and inside of a loan officer approved scenario, I've sort of built this TBD, by clicking edit loan here, or when you initially set up the loan, when it's synced over from your LOS system, whatever, that can create a loan officer approved scenario with some subject property generic numbers. Okay, make sure these are right. That's the first thing. Second thing is make sure that you have a qualified status. Now, this gets people confused all the time. You want to make sure that your loan program type here, that you know what program's available. So you can see I've only got the one. Some of you by default might have multiple, depending on how your settings are set up. You might have an FHA, a VA, USDA, jumbo, whatever available. Make sure you know what loan's here before you try to troubleshoot why you're getting a not qualified status. So let me give you an example here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make available another program, FHA. So what I did here is I just sort of went into my program section and I made another program available for my client. It was FHA. So you can see when I go in here, I've got multiple options. The client can now toggle between each when they're in the calculator to determine what programs are available. So I'm going to go to FHA, click Save. Ooh, now I've got a not qualified status, and there's a few reasons why. Pay special attention to the language underneath the loan officer approved scenario. Okay. These are going to give you a roadmap to troubleshooting the problem. Now you have to make sure you know what loan program type you're actually looking at before you try to troubleshoot. So in this case, it's FHA. So if I go here and it says not qualified because my DTI is too high, 42%, and the loan amount exceeds the permitted amount, 241, 250, then when I go to my loan programs, okay, loan programs, this is like your guidelines that you're measuring the scenario against. So I'm going to go in here and try to fix my DTI because it's an FHA loan. I can go more than 42. And I know the county, I can go more than 241. So all I have to do is now adjust the guidelines in my loan programs. For the FHA loan, make sure you're looking at the right one, okay, FHA. And I'm going to say it's 44%, and the max loan amount is $300K. Now you can change this on a loan by loan basis as I just did. The best thing for you to do, and there'll be another video for that, is to make sure your loan templates are accurate, okay, for the most of your clients. And that's something you change in your settings here, okay, so that when you create loans, the programs start with a better baseline. So now I should see a qualified status. Boom, qualified. That's what we're looking for. Okay, that means that when the client logs in, they're going to see a qualified status. They're not going to be confused. You're going to be happy, focusing on what's important to you, letting your clients get to work on their purchase. Okay, now, sometimes you're waiting for trailing documentation to validate something, so you don't want this customer to get a pre-approval letter. Okay, well, first thing you need to make sure is that they're in a status where they can actually see the UI. So you can see here, this is what this borrower sees. So this Brett Tom borrower can see this is the widget for our pre-qualification calculator where they can get a letter. That is because they are currently in the status called pre-approved. Now, if I change them to lead, which is where most 1003s enter the funnel, that's how they start. Or if you share the mobile app with somebody, that's how they start. You can see this interface looks different. This person does not have access to a pre-approval letter because the status they're in, even though I built this scenario, the status that they're in does not include a tool, the widget here, to issue a pre-approval letter. So I actually have to go here and I have to mark that they're pre-approved or pre-qualified, which changes them from a lead status to one of the loan statuses that I have integrated that have access to pre-approval letters. So that's the second thing, okay? Lastly, you can adjust some finite detail. Maybe you want them to go in and have access to issuing letters or to request them, but you don't want them to be able to get it until you review it. Or maybe you want them to be able to, yeah, that is controlled here in my settings, my control center. If I click view more settings, there's two toggles here at the top. First one is, am I going to let the customer request letters from the mobile app? Okay, yes or no. If you answer no, they're not going to be able to get letters. They can go in and they can see that they're qualified and they can request a review from you. Okay. If you say yes, I want them to be able to request it, but I don't want them to be able to get it until I look at the scenario. Fine, that's fine. Toggle off the second one. The second one is where letters are automatically issued for qualified scenarios. So if the client runs a scenario and it meets the loan officer approved scenario and the guidelines, then they can get the letter automatically. So you can control that here in your control center using these two toggles. Okay, allow pre-qual letters requests from the mobile app, and then automatically issue letters once I've allowed those requests to come in. This is going to be the setting right here, on, is going to be the best way to eliminate a lot of the interrupted work you do on a daily basis, but it requires the foundation of the loan to be accurate, including your loan officer approved scenario and the program guidelines that it's built on. Hope that helps.